Ink and Echo, number 33. Just the good boys again.
That's right. Ink and Echo, the only podcast established in 2016 and still going strong.
There were
a legacy of time.
No other white guys started podcasts in 2016.
None. We checked everywhere. Hey, everybody, how you doing? How's your day going, listener? You working? You doing your job over there at your desk? That's good.
Spelunking in a cave? Got a podcast in your ears?
You flipping somebody off in traffic? Don't
hey, stop.
do that.
Don't be a jerk.
That's no good. You laughing on the train and everyone around you doesn't know what you're laughing at? Great. Just give them one of your earbuds and let them...
Or just a thumbs up. That's what I'd do.
Andy, you've got a few kids.
I got a few.
I've lost track at this point.
Me too.
How many? But
who couldn't even say?
Singular child is causing a lot of disruption to my life right now.
Oh, that's funny. My 4 don't cause any disruption to my life at all. It's smooth sailing. It's just 100% of the time.
Well,
go ahead.
This won't be very interesting to people who don't have kids.
Oh, great.
I mean, maybe it will, but I am hoping that in your expertise and further experience than I have.
Oh, is this a parenting advice column?
Thoughts. I guess it is.
We got to come up with a... Hold on. No, we're going to do this right. A real podcast. Okay. Kid problems with Josh. Okay, go ahead.
All right. My new segment. I love it. Well, there was a period of my daughter's life, she'll be 3 years old in a couple weeks here, where she, 1, ate the food that was put in front of her, and 2, slept through the night.
Yeah. Oh, and it's gone.
Yes.
Yep.
Every meal is a fight.
Yep.
Now,
unless it's chips or bread, right?
Yeah, unless it's something super delicious that she wants to eat.
Yep.
And so, we've tried the method of just being like, all right, fine, you're going to nap time with nothing.
Yep.
Which just doesn't pan out because then she sleeps for a short amount of time
and then she gets
up hungry.
Yeah. So lose situation.
Right. And the bedtime thing, this is worse.
Yep.
I mean, the other night, she, between the hours of 8 p.m. and 10 p.m., got up basically every 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I mean, she'll usually pee like a drop in her diaper and she'll say she needs a new diaper. And if we say no and like put her back in her bed, then she flips out, and because she can't have one bit of moisture touching her.
Oh boy.
But then, I mean, spanks don't work. Like being really nice to her doesn't work. Telling her it's like we've tried the spectrum of options to try to just
she can get out of her bed too, right?
Yeah.
She's not confined.
She can. Whew. But it is just like, maybe 6 or 8 months ago, she was sleeping through the night, no problem. And she had her same bed, but Emmy and I are just, and she even in the middle of the night at like 3 a.m., she'll just come and get in our bed.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're just like, screw it, you can stay there. But then she'll flail around and like kick us in the back. And
that's the worst.
Like, okay. Yeah. So has that happened, and what did you do about it?
Well,
either of those.
Well, so, a couple things. One is that with one kid, it's almost harder. Well, I won't say that. When you have 4 like I do, you just give up way easier on everything, at least in my personal, so it's like, so what we've experienced, at least with the sleep thing, is that everyone, I wish Megan could corroborate this or not, but everyone will go through a period of sleeping well and then not sleeping well, and it kind of comes and goes. And it sucks when it's 4 kids because inevitably someone is in a terrible sleeping phase. Like we're kind of just coming out of our youngest one having a really terrible one where he'd be up, I mean, not every 15 minutes, but potentially every 30 or 45 at the beginning of the night.
Yeah.
And that's terrible.
Yeah.
So where am I going with this? But in terms of the the discipline thing. Well, and our youngest one is still confined to a crib, so he can't just just pop out and whatever. We're at the point now where if he gets up anytime before 5 a.m., he goes back in his crib. But if it's 5 a.m. or after, he'll come in and stay in our bed for just a couple hours or something.
Okay.
Yeah, and the food thing, that's something we've mostly given up on, to be completely honest. We will always present real food.
Right.
And it does sort of work to say, like, here's your dinner, this is all you get, and you're not getting a snack in the middle of the night. That sort of works sometimes. Yeah. And here's the other thing that's frustrating, more for Megan than for me, but like when Megan is gone, they do way better for me. And I don't know if that's because I'm just more of a jackass, if they know that I can't be pushed around as much as she can. But the other night, because she's gone at least 2 nights a week for dance, like, and I do dinner and bedtime and everything. And dinner they didn't like, I knew they wouldn't like. And so what I did was I gave them a little bit of chicken. I said, hey, here's some chicken. If you eat all of that, then I'll give you some chips. And more of them ate than is normal. So that seems to work okay. But there's a big difference in like a 3-year-old and, you know, my oldest ones are 4, 5, 6 right now. So they understand ultimatums a little better. The worst is when they don't understand the ultimatum and they're like, here's your 2 choices. And they're like, but I want the third one. You're like, no, there's only 2 choices. It's one of the most frustrating things. So I don't know if I helped you at all just now, but other than say my experience is similar. And when you have 4 kids, you just care less about each individual child.
Yeah, that makes sense. That is helpful, I guess, to know that it's normal and that maybe we need to just give up a little easier. Because I think the assumption in us holding our ground, we think either she learns this now or she's going to be bad forever, or she's going to assume she can get away with something forever. But it sounds like it's just a phase that she will perhaps grow out of.
Everything's a phase, and then once they get more able to cognitively reason, that ultimately does make it easier because you can threaten better, as terrible as that sounds, and you can reason better. That will always make it better. So
right. And the same is true. Olive is so easy for me when Emmy is gone, and she like is much more obedient and just smooth sailing.
I wonder what the real reason behind that is. If it's because, I mean, part of it wonders if it's because they just aren't as close to me, which sort of makes me a little sad. Because part of me is like, yeah, this is rules. Sure. When I put them to bed, they don't come out and say they want things just to be able to come out or something. But then I'm like, well, is it because they don't actually like me very much? So I don't know. I don't think that's true. I hope it's just because they know that I'm not going to put up with any shit from them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would say probably more that one. Because I mean, I'm definitely the harsher discipline person. Yeah. So she listens.
Yep.
But
speaking of kids, I had a great experience today that I'm sure you will have many of these experiences, Josh. But so my oldest Marshall's about to be 7 in a couple months. And a couple things. He's in a new room now. He's in my old studio now, which is great.
Oh, yeah.
He's in his own room. And we went to Target yesterday to get some stuff for him. And he wanted a Star Wars poster and he wanted a Star Wars area rug. He's like, yeah, I'm really into Star Wars right now. But he's never seen the movies. This morning,
I saw you tweet about that a while ago.
Yeah. So this morning, everyone was gone except me and him. And I showed him the first, episode 4 of Star Wars.
Right. New Hope, yeah.
Yeah. And dude, I got way more emotional than I was expecting. Like I had like tears in my eyes like multiple times.
Just because you were excited to be like sharing this moment with him?
Yeah, it was
about the movie itself.
It was all of it. So it was just like, all them, because everyone knows Star Wars, but when he's like, whoa, like something happens, you're like, oh my gosh, it's pretty cool to experience that movie for the first time. And like, because I saw that a million times when I was a kid. It's like, I know I could say back to you what some of the Jawas say that's like gibberish,
Right.
you know? I know all that, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and partly there's a little bit of it that's like, oh, Carrie Fisher's dead. That's weird.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So it was just the whole thing, man. And it's just like me thinking about when I saw this, and he's like so stoked about it. And I don't know, it was just a really cool experience. And we have 7 more movies to watch.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm not a super purist about. I know there's certain people who are like, we're not going to watch episodes 1, 2, and 3. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm still gonna. He'll still dig it. I think the pod races are pretty badass, but.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, that was just really cool. It was really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And you've got, I mean, like you have a lot more of those kind of experiences to look forward to, more. Probably. Yeah.
And even something kind of similar. My third youngest, Blake, he's like super into rock and roll. He really wants to listen to rock and roll songs. So in the car yesterday, I just put on a bunch of different Muse songs that I knew had like cool breakdowns in them. And then I'd be like, Blake, listen right here. And he listens, and then he goes like the breakdown hit, and then he just puts his hand up in the air and goes, rock and roll, like in the backseat of the car. That's really fun too. So when they're with Megan, they listen to this kid's song CD with jokes about underwear and stuff. And with me, they listen to Muse and Black Map. So that's
nice.
So
yeah.
Anyway, there's our kids' stories, I guess. That's fun.
Right. Yeah, I look forward to a lot of that stuff. And it's something that pre-kids, it didn't even occur to me.
Right.
But, I mean, not that long ago, similarly, I took Olive to Krispy Kreme for the first time.
Oh, nice.
To like, you know, and there's the big, what is it called? Like, where they make all the
conveyor?
Yeah, conveyor belt. And she, you know, got to look in the window and got the little paper hat and, you know.
Her eyes are just glowing at the sugar being slopped on. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was just like, wow, I really like this. And Christmas and birthdays, I didn't think I would enjoy so much. How fun it is to actually like pick specific things for your kids and see them open it and all that. Anyway,
totally,
it's good stuff. Kids, recommend them.
Totes, gotta get them
for the most part.
Collect them all.
Man, I had a weird just experience this week. Not experience, but an occasion that happens somewhat frequently for me, but this week it was a pretty substantial mental freak out.
Was this... okay, I'm going to let you finish your story before I try to guess what it is.
Well, it was around... I guess it was around Wednesday, and there's not really any story to this or anything epic that happened that was terrible, but just sometimes I'll get in these modes of thinking that my good friends, you included, are upset with me.
Yeah.
because I haven't heard from you in a little while, or you know, I'll say something and didn't hear back at all, or you know, got like a very flippant just answer. And it's so, so anyway, basically this week for no reason, truly, I thought you were upset with me, and I thought Trevor was upset with me. Trevor, there was a little more of a maybe reason there.
Trevor, your neighbor.
I realized, I realized after talking to Emmy a little bit and praying about it, honestly, that I was just like, I'm doing this because I'm scared to death. Basically I just need affirmation, and I'm looking for that in the wrong places, basically. Like, that's not really your job to affirm me just because I'm being a crazy person and thinking you're upset for made up reasons.
Right.
And it just made me realize I'm so desperate for love, basically, and friendship and affection and affirmation and all that. And when I think that someone who I care about very much doesn't care about me as much, or not at all, that they don't even think about me, then I really start to get angry and worried and get irrational and emotional. It's just really insane to even explain it like this, but the places I go in my head are, I really don't know where I got this, but So anyway, I would say, like, in this week in general, I was in just less of a healthy place. And
Sure.
when that happens, these sort of things tend to happen more where my rationality factor is down and I start, assuming things are true that are not at all.
Right.
So anyway, there's that.
The thing that sucks for you about that is, well, I think it sucks for everybody. And I'm going to go back to social media again because we're going to beat that dead horse. But I still think it sucks how every form of communication has now gone into this tiny little computer that we keep in our pocket, as opposed to like a letter in the mail versus like a phone call at your house versus an in-person visit. Like they're all different levels that happened in a different medium and meant different things. I mean, honestly, for me, everything that comes into my stupid phone, I give the same level of like respect, basically. So a tweet versus an email versus a text versus a voicemail, like I've gotten to the point where I hate every one of those things as much as I hate the worst thing that comes in on my phone. Wow, and that's maybe a little bit of an over exaggeration, but the fact that they're all in this one place just overwhelms me so much. And it sort of sucks because, I'll admit I'm bad at all of those things. I'm bad at responding to texts. I don't get voicemails anymore, so I've at least cut that out. And then for someone like you, who I know you agree with me on a lot of those things, but also depending on your head space could be very offended by the way I deal with my phone, when really it's just like, I hate it. It's so overwhelming. Like I wish I had a landline kind of where it's like, yo, if there's something really important you want to talk about, like call me on this phone that only 3 people have the number. I'll be like, hey, when that thing rings, that's important and I'm going to get it. But I don't have a importance ranking anymore. And that's probably bad, but I don't know how to untangle those things anymore. Does that make sense? That's kind of my side of it. And I generally, I kind of do the opposite of you where I'm like, I just assume everything's fine with everybody all the time. And then when I find out it's not, I'm like, whoa, wait, like what? Like I put less value on those things. And so, we've had to hash these things out before too, where I'm just like, hey, I thought everything was great. I thought I had no problem. It's just, we're kind of opposites in that mental space in a way,
Right. Yeah. The current technology and the way that people communicate is not helpful to my brain. Because we've all, and I think part of the fear comes from we've all had those people who truly have bailed on us completely or disappeared from our lives. And usually that's probably not a close friend who just bails with no explanation, but there have been at least 2 or 3 people I can think of who there was a period where we were friends and then I would text them or call them. And like after a series of 3 or 4, they just never said anything back anymore. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's done. And in this day and age, like that's how you end a friendship. Apparently, you just decide to stop responding.
Well, the interesting thing about that is I might be that person a lot of the time because I'm very, for the most part, you're a pretty big exception, but very proximity based in terms of friends.
Sure. Sure.
And what that always has meant is like my friends in elementary school did not continue past that last day of school. And then I got into middle school. I had my friends in middle school. Those were gone when I went to high school. Those people are all gone. And then I went to college, and for the most part, those people are all gone too. Like every period of my life, I've started over, basically. It's pretty weird. And maybe that's like I don't know if there's anything to like public school versus homeschool where things are changing at least every 4 years and you just kind of move on, and that's how I'm programmed now. But I think there's been people who I've probably done that too, honestly. But
yeah, I have as well. Sure.
So I just don't know. I don't really know where I'm going with that. Basically, I'm just saying I might be that person that you're talking about right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, certainly not with me, but Yeah,
Right.
maybe to other people you have been. It's just, I feel like we've sort of talked about this on the show before, but I feel like that shouldn't be okay to do. But in the place that we live in,
well, you're talking about
status,
like when you have gone 3 or 4 texts or calls with no response, like, yeah, that's not cool. But there are many situations where like we've parted ways physically, like someone moved away and neither one of us tempted to keep that together. And that's probably fine. That's probably the majority of what I'm talking about. But yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in a bigger cultural sense, that it's just acceptable to do that.
To jet.
Just doesn't seem
Don't
cool.
accept the jet anymore, guys. That's the bumper sticker.
Yeah. And I mean, in a way, we've set ourselves up to like not deal with this well from the start, because Emmy and I were talking about the other day, there are so many ways to be contacted. I know that's what you were just saying, but it's like,
which means none of them are valuable anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Like when Mark, you had emailed him about getting into that show, but he responded on Facebook and you didn't even see it till later.
Yeah.
Or like John Chong, we got referenced to him via an Instagram message, which I didn't even see because I don't keep it on my phone.
Oh, I didn't see it either.
Until the guy, his name's Justin, emailed us and he was like, "Hey, did you see my Instagram message?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I didn't."
Have you listened to this show? We're not on there. I'm just kidding.
So anyway, it's like, if you could potentially have like 15 or 20 different apps through which people can message you.
I hate it so much.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
So what the answer is to that, I don't know. But
here's one answer. I'm going to go on my personal Facebook profile right now and look at the last post I made. It was, where is it? Basically, it just says, I don't respond to messages here. And I made my profile so it's the only post that people will see.
Right.
If, I just passed it. Oh, September 15th, 2014. Hi, I don't check my messages here. And that's like literally the last thing I've posted on my personal Facebook page. So there's one way of doing it. Just say, hey, I'm not here. Please don't try to contact me here.
It just makes me think of like a general store out in the middle of the desert that's got like a sign out front, and it's like not open for business, but yet you keep your name on the sign. Like
you keep paying the electric bill
goods
at this store that doesn't sell anything.
Yeah.
That's
it's like hanging up the sign that it's not open for business.
There's a certain
that's what you're doing to your Facebook.
Amount of insanity there that I also realize. I just got to manage my other pages, which I can at least shut down messaging on those. So there you go.
Right.
Anyway, so do you feel do you feel better? How do you feel now? Did you get some wisdom from your wife? She give you a little nugget?
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of like it is what it is, and I need to learn to deal with it better. Because none of this is going to change because of me, and I live in this place and time, and I've got to just calm down and not let my entire worth as a person come from what other people might or might not think of me.
So to boil it down, it's more like it's less on everyone else and more on you.
Definitely.
Yeah. That's a good lesson for a lot of things. But
yeah, no kidding. I mean, I'm way better than I used to be, but I still have those moments where I like dip into insane immaturity and like a little baby crying and flailing around and just being like, nobody likes me. I have never been inside the app called Snapchat. Like I wouldn't even know what it looks like.
I did it
when you open it.
I did
or
it
what
for a little
does.
while. But Instagram has basically taken all of its features.
Oh.
The thing I like about it is that things only exist for 24 hours. That's like my favorite thing about that platform. But generally all the things I saw getting posted there. Like, have I ever told you about my very first Snapchat experience? And
No.
So I was on tour with Archibald, and our bass player Ethan used it a lot, and I was like, "What is that? How does it even work?" So I got on, signed up there, got the app, and we were playing a show, and the opening band was playing. I know it was the band after us. We didn't, whatever. And so we're standing next to each other, and he Snapchats me a picture of the band playing that I'm watching right now. I'm like, Jesus, this is what you use it for? Like, I'm right here. I'm also watching this band right now. And then I deleted it.
Did he do it as a joke?
No.
Or in earnest?
No.
That's so ridiculous.
Like, what? And then so I deleted it and didn't get back on it for another 2 years until once again I was on another tour with Future Forestry and everyone else was on Snapchat and using it. And so then I used it for that period and then stopped. It was funny for the time being. Yeah. Did you really want to talk about Snapchat that much, or am I just going on?
Oh, no, you're fine. I liked that story. It's just, and I'm not trying to like impress anyone with the fact that I've never been on it. It's just,
it's like that I don't own a TV thing. Holier than thou.
I think just at the time when it came out, I had reached my threshold and just decided, okay, I'm not going to adopt and learn to use yet another application.
Right.
And all I ever really see are people with a puppy dog face that has a tongue that's way too big, and that makes me feel weird. I mean, it's like, and you see it so often because people post it to Twitter, and it's like, this isn't original or funny anymore. It's like, yeah, we've seen the puppy dog face. Like, yeah, we've seen the weird big eyes, pretty face.
And I don't like how the focus is, it's obviously meant to be like, take a picture or video of yourself. Like, I hate that so much. And they're totally trying to cash in on narcissism, which is terrible.
That's us.
Yep. Hey, here's something I wanted to talk about today that I've been very aware of in my own self this week. And I don't know if we've ever talked about it here or in person, really. I don't know. But imposter syndrome, because it's...
Whoa, what the heck is that?
It's okay, well, I can tell you. Imposter syndrome, also known as imposter phenomenon or fraud syndrome, is a concept describing high-achieving individuals, which I'm not saying I'm one of those, who are marked by an inability to internalize their accomplishments and a persistent fear of being exposed as a fraud. So,
wow,
you're not familiar with this at all?
I've never... I mean, that makes sense, but I've never heard that term.
Oh, wow. Okay. So this will be good because I ever since I've been aware of the term, I'm like, that's me 100%. And like, I'm right now going through this experience where I have this new album done and I have a team of people who are doing all this stuff to like get ready to put it out. So the PR guy is starting to work now. You have to be on phone calls to figure out release schedule and all this other stuff. And it is very much exacerbating this phenomenon in myself. And the thing that's most fascinating about it to me is I feel there's a large portion of my life and my ideas and my thoughts that in a healthy way, if I think one thing, I can have like an argument with myself in my head and be like, well, that might be wrong. Like, and I can kind of play devil's advocate to myself for different things and kind of like talk myself down from thinking a certain way or whatever. But with this, I mean, there's a few things in my stupid brain that are like brick walls that it's like, I'm cognizant of the fact that it's wrong, but I just can do nothing to alleviate it or kind of get rid of it or talk myself out of it or argue with myself, you know? And this is one of those things, like 100%. So I constantly have the feeling that it's ridiculous what I'm doing. I don't belong with the other people who are at whatever level it is that I'm at with music. It's ridiculous that I'm doing it for a living. Like, I don't deserve it. And like all these people, like I'm about, and it's coming up now because I'm like, there's all these people working with me on this album. And it's like, oh, now when I get found out as a fraud, I'm not only am I hurting myself, but I'm hurting the reputations of all of these other people when it comes out that this is just a piece of shit album, you know?
Yeah.
So that's my current experience with it. Do you, from what I've just said with the definition and my experience, do you feel like you experienced that at all?
Yes, definitely not as often.
Yeah.
But it usually would be like I felt a good dose of that when I launched my big cartel with my drawing stuff, my artwork that I wanted to sell.
Yeah.
That I like the moment after posting it, I start assuming again, I start thinking about what others are thinking of me. Yeah. And they're just like, fucking Josh, like just do one thing. I don't give a shit about your drawings. Like just be a writer. I don't even care about that. You know, thinking that they're berating me in their thoughts, and that everything I put out is stupid. And so anyway, there'll be things like that.
Right. Yeah. I wonder, I'm really fascinated with you, honestly, as a little bit of a case study, just because I really want to see what happens to you if, you know, as your career,
if I make it big,
increases and like when the trajectory goes up, you know, I want to see what that does to your head a little bit.
I do too. I really hope that I can absorb it in a mature way.
Sure.
But I honestly, I can already tell I'll probably, the moment I start getting attention, if this ever happens, I'll probably pull way back from the internet, and I'm already pretty pulled back.
Right.
You know, I deactivated my Twitter yet again recently, and here's how they get you. We don't have to focus on this, but you know, they leave it there for 30 days.
Oh, really?
So that if you change your mind, you just log back in and it's all still there.
It's such a cult.
Right now I'm like 10 days in. I got 10 days sober on Twitter. So, but anyway, yeah, I could see, I mean, just wanting my privacy protected, you know, if I started getting attention and just wanting to keep what I do very separate from my personal life, and, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this imposter syndrome stuff is interesting because I feel like and this is a weird thing to even think about, is that I've been like observing myself and my thoughts on this, because, you know, one of the things I've observed is that it doesn't keep me, I mean, there's other things that keep me from wanting to create or actually creating art, but this is not one of those things. It just makes it feel worse when I do. So like even this week, not much time at all, but I spent some time thinking about and trying to put some ideas down on like what I want my next album to be. And I sat down for an hour or so the other day and just tried to write something in a direction that I thought I wanted to go for this album. And after it, I was just like, shit, this is not it. And I'm terrible, and all of this is terrible. And I mean, I basically may have convinced myself that that's not the direction I want to go with my next thing, because I failed at it in my mind.
Right.
So I guess the only reason I'm saying that is like, I feel like at least it's not keeping me from sitting down and like wanting to do something, but I feel like it might be keeping me from continuing on in certain situations. So yeah, it's just like I said, it literally feels like a brick wall in my head that I can't get over, and I hate it. Like I wonder what I'd be able to do if I could just feel all right about my place in the creative world, whatever that means, you know? Because I honestly don't feel very good about it. I don't really like what I've put out in the past. I can't listen to it generally ever, and I get embarrassed when people talk about it. I generally don't want to talk about it. I say fake stories when people ask what I do for a living, and you've been in the room when I've done that.
Right.
And so I think all those things stem ultimately from this. And like, what would it mean if I could be like, yeah, I work at home as a musician, and I could like be confident and happy about saying that, not in some arrogant way, but just like, yeah, this is what I do, and I'm proud of myself and what I've done, and I deserve to be thought of along with some of these other people who are doing similar things and stuff. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think. I mean, for one thing, I'm 99.5% sure that this will not ever crash and burn for you, or that sort of scenario won't happen. But I wish I had something helpful to offer, because that does sound very rough. I mean, have you had periods where you felt okay, or where you weren't thinking things like this?
I mean, I feel when I'm kind of like really in a creative thing, like I'm in the middle of a new album or something, before I get to that period where it's like pulling teeth trying to finish it. That's always a good period where I'm like, I like what I'm doing. It feels good to actually create this. That's always a good spot. But like this spot now, I'm just like sitting around waiting for it to come out. Have to be thinking about what people are going to think about it, you know?
Yeah.
That's when this is worse. But it's honestly always in my head somewhat, a little bit. Like I said, it's just really always there. So I'm literally just on the Wikipedia page. I was going to do maybe some more research for this topic, but you know, all I've got is a Wikipedia page right now. This is an interesting little stat. It says the syndrome has affected approximately 70% of the population worldwide. However, often goes unrecognized. If it is not addressed, victims can develop anxiety, stress, low self-confidence, depression, shame, and self-doubt. Which, hey, I'm 5 for 5 or something, or 6 for 6. Batting 100, 500. What's the sports term? I don't know the sports terms.
Batting 1,000.
Is it really?
No, yeah, it is. Okay. I don't. That sounds like a very high number, but
batting 500 is like not good. Then
you're batting halfway.
People who suffer from imposter syndrome tend to reflect and dwell upon extreme failure, mistakes, and negative feedback from others. So, which I very much have a hard time with negative comments everywhere. Right. And it says, if not addressed, imposter syndrome can limit exploration and the courage to delve into new experiences in fear of exposing failure. So that's what I don't want to happen.
Right.
And this is under like a management section. It says a number of management options are available to ease imposter syndrome. The most prominent is to discuss the topic, with other individuals early on in the career path. Once the situation is addressed, victims no longer feel alone in their negative experience. So it seems like mostly people get over it by not really getting over it, but just realizing that almost everyone else has it, and we're all being idiots together in our own head, which is helpful.
Have you talked to Levi about this specifically?
Maybe.
Because I'd be curious. I mean, I'd feel almost certain that he has some of this too, and you guys have similar, for what you do.
Yeah, him and I are interesting because there's a lot of creative things that we're like totally right on together, and then there's some that we're like 100% opposite, which makes it very interesting to talk to him, which is fun.
Right. That the definition you gave of imposter syndrome, does that also limit your ability to absorb praise?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
At least personally.
Sure.
Here it says, this is right after the definition. It says proof of success is dismissed as luck, timing, or as a result of deceiving others into thinking they are more intelligent and competent than they believe themselves to be.
Goodness. Huh.
Yeah. So, I mean, I remember when I was first, playing guitar and doing music, and I used to try to argue with people when they would give me a compliment. Or not really argue, but like tell them why they were wrong when they said something I did was cool. And and that's really just annoying and a really dumb thing to do, to be self-deprecating. And so mostly what I do is just say thanks and try to get them to stop, because it is uncomfortable to me, but still be like thankful for it. So
yeah, I did a very similar thing for a long time, and even to the point of like, if I would make a mistake while playing a show, I would point it out from stage and be like, sorry, I goofed up that part, and then came to realize most of the time nobody even notices a mistake, so you shouldn't draw attention to it.
Right.
I know that's a little different of a thing, but yeah, when people would compliment my music way back in ATP days, I would just be like, that didn't really come out how I wanted it, and I wasn't real happy.
And then they just give you a weird look, like, okay, dude, let's see you later then.
yeah, it's such a self-centered thing to do. It's just like, no, just say thank you. And
honestly, I see that a lot and my test case is only looking at Instagram and Twitter bios for people that follow me or whatever, but I see so many people who just, they're really happy to throw out the fact that they do a thing, but it also sucks. And I hate that.
Right.
Because, hey, you've convinced me. I'm not going to check it out. Good job. Is that really what you want? It's like, it's so weird, because they're like, hey, I'm doing a thing, but it sucks. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting mixed signals. Do you want me to check it out or not? And because, it's very easy to convince me to not check out what you're doing. And I'm happy to not check it out.
Right.
So anyone out there, if you're a writer, be a writer. Say you're a writer. Let other people determine if it sucks for themselves or not. You don't have to prove it before they even read it or listen to it or whatever. So stop it. Stop it.
Yeah, knock it off. It doesn't help anything. There was a guy when I was more involved with Muzzleland Press, the little publisher here in Denver.
Yeah.
There was a guy who he contacted us on Twitter and said he wanted to read or like record audio books for us. Like, he would do all the reading. He volunteered to do this because he liked our stuff. But then he sent a message later, or not even a message. He just like did at us, publicly on his Twitter feed. And it said, would love to do this for you guys, but I'm too self-conscious to show you what I recorded. And we just didn't even respond, because it's like, dude,
that's
like,
strange.
You're not going to get anywhere in life doing that. Did you think we were going to be like, oh no, come on, like
beg for it,
give it to us? Yeah, fuck that. That's not gonna, like. I mean, and on some level, I feel bad for the guy, that it's like, dude, are you that lacking in self-confidence that you can't just like sack up and he's not going to get anywhere doing that. Like, you got to have some confidence and be willing to take risks and possibly fail.
That's an interesting thing, because he's trying to make you want it before you've even heard the product, which is not necessarily a bad impulse. But that's a terrible way to go about it.
I know. Yeah. Very, very juvenile.
Wow.
Anyway, I am about ready for a sponsor.
Yeah. Great.
Got one to read here.
Okay. Here we go. That always goes way longer than I thought it was.
Yeah. Man, that drummer, though, I'd love to just meet him and shake his hand.
Going at it.
He's really, really getting
He's
it
probably
good.
got big forearms. Yep, go ahead.
In this technological era that we live in, people are always worried about their hard drive space.
Totally.
We used to be just on our computer, and then there were external hard drives because we had a bunch of more, and now there's the cloud, and it's like the
cloud. Don't talk to me about the cloud.
Okay, all right. We've just got a lot of digital shit that we want to hold on to. We're like hoarders of ones and zeros.
You could say we're in a digital bath if you're a Deftones fan.
So
go ahead.
There, and a lot of us, we probably we hold on to something, we save it, and then we end up maybe never looking at it again. But it's like, well, we'll go ahead and keep all those torrents of the Simpsons seasons I downloaded like even years ago, because I might watch them eventually. And so we just add up and we pay for more storage, and we have like a terabyte on Google of all our videos and pictures, and it's ridiculous.
It's like the virtual version of storage spaces that you'd rent monthly and throw shit in that you don't even know what it is.
Right. Yeah.
Great.
Well, our sponsor today is it's from the makers of semi-savers.
Oh.
They're actually just called Space Savers. And what they do is they've developed an AI technology that lives in the cloud, by the way.
Okay.
It's an artificial robot that can see into the actual future, the entire trajectory of your life, and can see which particular files you will ever click on again and use.
Wow.
And the rest of them that to the day of your death, you never click them again, they just delete those and throw them away.
Great.
So you can imagine, I mean, this is hundreds of gigs of space being saved.
Space savings. That's what I need.
Yeah, there it is. And that's basically what they do. And it's really great. And I've tried it. And half my hard drive disappeared. And actually like 70% of it.
And true to the algorithm, you didn't even know what those things were, and you won't care about them in the future, right?
Right.
That's great.
Right. Yeah, it's very, very advanced thinking and seeing.
Great.
So, yeah. So if you want to give it a trial, they'll give you 2 gigs cleaned free.
Oh, wow.
By going to inkaneko.com/space savers.
If you notice it's gone, you'll get your money back. That's got to be how it works, right?
Right. It's almost like they erase your memory a little bit.
It's like a, what is it? Eternal Sunshine situation.
Yes, they scrub the memories that you don't want.
So if you're ever walking through a train station and you see all your digital images deleting themselves and you're running around like, what's happening? Then you get your money back.
Precisely.
Because that's not what you want. Okay.
Right.
Great. So inkaneko.com/space savers.
Yeah, hit it up.
Cool. All right, Josh, I wanna do something that we haven't done in a while. And I think this will spur some conversation. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Here we go.
What could I say? Internet comments, I get them every day.
That's right.
Ooh, I was air drumming to that one.
Nice.
So excited the segment's back.
Totally. I bet a lot of people are. All right, so here's a comment I got literally 9 hours ago on one of my videos.
Fresh off the feed here.
And this highlights something that I've never understood in basically all of online discourse, and that's the idea of applying very sexual things to very non-sexual things. So here's the comment. It's on one of my ambient song videos, looping performance things. And this person says, as soon as that second overdub slide guitar came, so did I.
Okay.
It just, why?
It's
so here's what I'm picturing. I'm picturing someone watching my video. They're just sitting in their beanbag chair with cheese puffs around them. And they're watching me, and then I pull out my slide guitar, and I'm supposed to think it's cool that you were like, like you now you have to change your pants. Like I'm supposed to think that's a compliment. Why?
Oh my gosh!
Like,
what a great way to describe that. Yeah.
Well, I don't. That's not flattering. I'm just like, good. Like I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
I do not receive that compliment
visceral
from you.
Right. Oh man.
So and
I've
had so many things like that. Like, oh, this gave me an eargasm. Like, Jesus, dude. Like, don't compare hearing a song to having an orgasm. That's just So
it's not pleasant to think about.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to talk about. It's people over sexualizing everything and thinking it's like super cool or like a compliment and not just some super pervy, gross thing that I have to read every once in a while.
Right. Yeah. I don't know that I have much to say about that other than that I don't really understand it, and that guy probably thinks he's being funny and complimenting you at the same time. But yeah, it just provides a mental image that you don't want.
Yes. Also, you assumed it's a guy.
That's right. Which it may not be. Could be a gal. Which then
I'm trying to figure it out. Okay. I'm looking at the picture. The name is I can't really tell either way. The picture is a person with long hair. It's making it
neutral.
hard to figure it out. So I'm just not gonna say. I'm not gonna go there.
Yeah, good call.
Great. Here's another comment just below. Oh, it was 1 week ago. This one perplexed me because of the way it ends. It says, "Was there a baby in the background? I thought I was the only one, KKK."
What? That's like the letter K 3 times?
Yep, the letter K 3 times.
That's not cool. That's not
well,
cool.
Does that mean something somewhere? Because there's been situations where, like, it took me a while to figure out. I think it's like South America. People say like J-A, J-A, J-A when they're laughing. And I was always like, what is that? Like, who's going around going, ja, 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 ja? It's just a thing. Like, does this mean something somewhere else? Does anyone out there know?
Yeah, send us a message if you do. Read it one more time.
Okay, so was there a baby on the background? ? So they heard like a baby crying in the back of one of my videos. And then it just says... It ends literally saying, "I thought I was the only one, KKK." No punctuation, no anything for that sentence.
Thought I was the only one.
So he thought he was the only one who has a baby and is a member of the KKK.
Okay, that makes more sense. As in, so he might be a musician and he has a child who cries during his videos. But the KKK thing, that's
the thing I'm most curious about. I'm willing to
there's no spaces between them?
No, it's just 3 Ks.
Oh my gosh. People are so strange and scary sometimes.
I seriously, like I mentioned before, I seriously want to see what you do if you were getting some of these comments. I thought there was another one. There's been some pretty interesting ones lately. Oh, I got the comment from Apostle Paul. I sent you that one a couple weeks ago.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that guy, I didn't know the character count could be that long in a YouTube comment. That was like a essay.
Yeah, they basically thought they were I don't know what they thought they were doing, proving God exists in a YouTube comment.
Right. So that made me think of something interesting, like the idea of privacy when you get more notoriety. I had the thought specifically about David Bazan's music video for Trouble with Boys where his daughter is in it.
Yeah.
There is no way I would ever put my daughter in a music video if I was as big as him.
Same
like I would just rather they not know what she looks like and how old she is. And because there's gonna be, like, maybe this is terrible that I think about this, but there's creeps and trolls who would probably say something sexual about it, and it's just like, no way. I'm not even gonna offer an opportunity for that.
Well, and so I have, not to toot my own horn, I have 7,000 followers on Instagram, and it's like,
right.
The chances that there's some batshit weirdos in that 7,000 are very high. Yeah. And so I'm not going to post pictures of my wife or my kids there at all.
Right.
And I actually had, this was years ago, but I had sort of a family friend, not really one of my friends, messaged me on Facebook and said, "Hey, how come you don't post more about your wife?" And I was just like, you don't understand how weird people are. I am trying to protect her. I don't want some of the weird shit I get on the internet to happen to her at all.
Yes.
And people don't seem to get that. Well, it's weird for me because they assume all my accounts I'm going to use them the same way they are to like share Pinterest recipes or whatever the fuck. But I'm like, that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to share racist articles or why on Facebook or whatever. I'm here. If I wasn't doing quote unquote business stuff on the internet, I'm like, I don't think I'd be on any of this stuff. I'd have a private Twitter account to follow idiots that make me laugh, but I see zero reason to do most of what happens on the internet if you're just like a non-business human being. I try to think through it. It's like, well, I'm on vacation. Here's my lunch. Like, if you take 2 seconds and think, wait, why? Why does 7,000 people need to see that? They don't. I guarantee you, like 90%. I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant right now, but 90% of the things anyone posts ever you shouldn't. You shouldn't post.
Yeah. I had a thought recently, or I've had this several times. I've caught myself, I should say.
Yeah.
Where, well, as you know, I don't have Instagram on my phone, but like once a week I'll install it to post the Ink and Echo picture.
Right.
And on my personal account, I haven't posted for months, and I only follow like a handful of people, you, my sister, because I like seeing, pictures of her kids and seeing what people are up to. But anyway, I caught myself after going through the very short feed of new things, new images of like, oh, do I have anything cool on my phone that I could share? Which is so childish and dumb, but it's like, I want the validation of likes and comments, like, which is that's nothing new. We've talked about that here, but it's just like, no,
that feeling that you had, that's like the basis of that whole ecosystem. And I hate it. I hate it so much. Like I was thinking the other day, like, I think I take less pictures of my kids and my family than I should because I'm so anti posting that stuff. But I'm worried that I'm going to get old and be like, wait, I actually didn't take any pictures of anything because I was thinking I was too cool because I wasn't going to post them on Instagram or Facebook or something. I was just thinking back into the olden times where, people, they took pictures for themselves so they could remember their vacation or their kids. And that was perfectly legitimate. And you might get assaulted by some old person with a photo album a couple times a year or something and be like, but that was relatively harmless. But now it's just like, that's all it is. So there's got to be a balance. I should document my kids probably a little more than I do.
Sure. Yeah. No harm in that.
Right. But I'm for sure not going to share it, you jerks. Yeah.
Emmy and I decided as soon as we were pregnant, basically, that we weren't going to be, some people post their kid's birthday and, a bunch of images, and it's, a kid's entire life could be documented online, and that might not be a good thing down the road.
That's interesting. I read an article, it was probably 6 months ago, but there are kids now who have grown up basically in this era, so their whole lives have been documented, and I think there's actually been cases of kids suing their parents for invasion of privacy. This article was just, they interviewed all these kids and they're like, yeah, I don't want my mom to post all this stuff about me. Like like once they can realize what's happening, they're like, wait, there's pictures of like my bare ass in the tub that all my friends could go find right now. Or, stuff like that. Like, that's all just there. Like, that's pretty weird. That's very weird. That it's like the photo album is available to the world. That's I don't know if that was the point you were going for, but I did read something like that fairly recently.
Yeah. Or even this concept of, a place that is interviewing people for hire, that they'll go look at their personal Facebook and like get a sense of them. Fuck that.
Yeah, totally.
Like that just, technically there's nothing stopping that business from doing so. And maybe that is helpful sometimes for not getting some douchebag who's a horrible person, but still.
I was just thinking, if we talked a couple weeks ago about you potentially wanting to get a new job, how would you feel if some potential new employer went and listened to all the episodes of this podcast? I don't think it's gone that far yet. That'd probably take too much time.
Right. I'd be pretty okay with that. I mean, I would hope that they get a proper sense of me and then.
But you're okay. You're okay with this representing you more than like a Facebook post or something.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I am.
Yeah,
I guess
that
because
makes sense
I can
to me.
actually present myself and articulate thoughts further than just a post somewhere that's limited by word count.
It's like it's the real you that they'd be deciding on. Whereas with Facebook, it's like there's not enough of any human being on their Facebook profile, I don't think, to really make any sort of like decision on whether they should have a job or not. I mean, primarily because people project some different person on those places. Whereas I don't.
Absolutely.
You and I are. I feel like we're just being ourselves here. So if you don't like me, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. Something along the lines of what we were talking about earlier, and hopefully this won't bother Levi, but for not that long ago, for some reason, I Googled Levi the Poet because I was looking for maybe it was looking for an image of him for when he was on.
Right.
And the second top search was Levi the Poet wife.
Ooh.
Like, why? Like, why do people want to know what she looks like? Who is Googling that and why is it so popular? Like, that terrified me. I mean, of course, and I'm shooting myself in the foot by saying this because trolls exist in the world, but like, I never want to be popular enough that people are hunting for pictures of my wife.
Yeah.
Why? Why do they need that? They don't. And that's really creepy and gross.
Yeah.
So anyway, it'd be funny if Levi didn't know that because he listens to this show. I mean, I hope that doesn't bother him or freak him out. There's nothing he can do about it, but still, it's just like, come on.
Well, I mean,
it's
still another numbers thing. Like, he has more followers than me everywhere. And so it's just, the higher you get, man, the bigger, I mean, it's the same percentage, I would guess, but the bigger number of people who are following you who are just fucking weirdos. And that you can't do anything about that except really be aware of what you're posting and what you're doing. And and that's why over time I've pulled back more and more. And we've not really delved into it yet, and maybe we will at some point, but I had a incident on Twitter years ago that really scared me.
Really? Have you told me this?
I think I have. I said something dumb, and then I had a large group of people basically attack me on Twitter.
Oh, jeez.
And it was kind of the weird in between where, I mean, when you first get on Twitter, it's only people you know, so you can make jokes where like, these people understand me and who I am and how my humor works. And then the thing I said wasn't meant to be humorous, really. It was just kind of like a sarcastic thing. But then that was the first time I realized, like, oh, there's people who don't know me that follow me for one specific reason. That's like 5% of my life. And then so when I say something outside of that, they don't get it and they get mad because that's what people do online. And that was, my eyes were kind of open. It's like, oh shit, like this is, and honestly, that was the moment that spurred my obsession with, online shaming and that, that book. So You've Been Publicly Shamed. That was like, I was like sweating and heart racing listening to that book because I was remembering the little experience I had with some of that stuff. And so that's like honestly a huge catalyst for a lot of my thoughts on this stuff. So
yeah, I'm with you. Not to turn this about myself, but fine. Like the reason I deactivated my Twitter is because I can't behave myself on there. Basically, like I guess I'm not mature enough to use it well, but because through the course of a day, if something upsets me, anger or sadness or whatever, or just I think something is so ridiculous, then I had previously a place to put that and realized the response was almost always negative and not worth it. And really just, again, out of out of context.
Yeah.
I would do a series of tweets trying to speak well or communicate what I was trying to say, but then I was just like, dude, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Why, I should just, if I'm frustrated about this, I should have a conversation with someone,
Right.
and just get it out of my system and speak about it fully and articulately, and not post 6 tweets trying to say what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And also just, I don't know. I just felt like I was adding to the negativity, and I ended up deleting a lot of tweets anyway, like 30 minutes after posting them. And it's just, I was way overthinking it. I should not have that deep of a relationship with an application.
I still think you've got to think of Twitter as a postcard. It's like, why would you send anybody a postcard? Like, it should be something funny, like, hey, hi, wish you were here.
Like short and sweet.
Yeah. And just you're not going to write some theological diatribe on a postcard, send it to your grandma or whatever. I really think that's a good barometer. I think personally, whether it's good to post on Twitter. Like, here's something I posted last night, in fact. This is dumb, stupid, because they just added 20 episodes of Mystery Science Theater to Netflix.
Oh yeah.
And so it was just dumb. I asked Siri, I said, hey, give me a random number between 1 and 20. And it gave me a number. And I said, here's how I'm deciding which episode of Mystery Science Theater to watch on Netflix tonight. It's like, that's postcard worthy. It's stupid. It's no personal information. Like, whatever. It's just dumb.
Right.
And then this morning I said, Dead Star is the best Muse song. Please do not at me at this time. Because that's funny and true. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And there's the, I had some hesitation that maybe I shouldn't throw away, quote unquote, those followers, because potentially later when I do have something to share, like my movie's done, do I want to be able to say that? But I think ultimately the cons were more than the pros.
Sure.
And what was the other thing I was going to say about that? Oh yeah, the only reason I was so frequently on Twitter was because it's the only app that is not blocked at my work.
Oh.
So even on my phone, Facebook, Instagram, all those won't even pull up unless I turn my Wi-Fi off. So it was sort of like,
it's one of those
in the
Christian
middle of the day,
networks, huh? They're trying to save your little heart.
Blocking all the badness. But yeah, so it's almost like that was the only path through which I could currently speak about things. I could write a blog, but who the hell is going to see that? Nobody even.
A weblog.
People just skim blogs now.
I don't even know why anyone would read a blog.
Yeah. Podcasts are basically the replacement.
Totally.
Didn't you back the Kickstarter for Mystery Science Theater?
Totally. Yeah.
Like, what was the reward for that?
The level I picked, I got a shirt, some postcards. Speaking of postcards, and then I get a digital download of all the episodes once they're great. And they're coming out next month. Woo!
Well, so wait, what got uploaded to Netflix? Old ones?
20 old episodes, like a classic collection. So last night we watched Puma Man. A couple nights.
Does Megan enjoy those? With you
yeah,
most of the time. Nice.
And then a couple nights before that, we watched Laser Blast, and that one was really good. They're so funny, dude. I was so happy because I hadn't seen one in such a long time, and I just laughed my ass off. Like, the jokes come so fast, you can't even take a breath sometimes between. And it's just super dumb humor. It's totally my humor. It's great. It's the best thing ever. So,
yeah. They are fun. It's been a long time since I've watched one, too.
Do it.
Have you noticed, by the way, have you been taking your Charlotte's Web?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Have you noticed a lift, like that you laugh a little easier, maybe?
Yes. Especially because I generally take them in the evening to maximize help with sleep. And so, we're laying in bed watching Netflix. And there's been multiple times where Megan was like, why'd you think that was funny? Because I would just like bust out at some really dumb joke. I'm like, well, I don't know. It's just funny.
Yeah. It's great stuff. It's so subtle, and yet it is noticeable.
Right.
And I feel like it has.
By the way, we're talking about it's not technically CBD. It includes CBD, but it's hemp.
No, it's just a whole plant hemp extract.
Whole plant hemp extract.
So CBD is one property of many that's in there.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I usually take it at like 4 p.m. And because I'm notoriously not in a great mood when I get home from work because I've just sat through 40 minutes of bad traffic and
then work before that.
Yeah, but it is. I mean, and I don't really like the idea of having to quote unquote rely on something to feel better or to be normal. But I'm like, for right now, I think it's okay. It's not like it's an addictive. It's not a prescription pill. It's a plant. And but yeah, I've also noticed, so in the way that alcohol can lower inhibitions, I feel like the Charlotte's Web loosens my inhibitions, but I say that in a positive way, that I'm less
stodgy,
concerned.
You're not a stodgy dad
in public settings.
Oh, I see.
Like I'm more willing to speak. I know that sounds weird, but I'm like a very shy person, and I usually kind of keep to myself. But
that
makes me kind of open up.
There you go.
Not worry about it.
Great.
Anyway, it's great stuff.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I think we should.
Spoiler alert: we're gonna talk to the CEO, Charlotte's Web, in a couple weeks here. It's gonna be badass.
Nice. I think we should end this here, and I'd like to end it by sharing with you a tweet that I wrote on my private Twitter account while I had diarrhea. And so I was sitting on the toilet dealing with my business, and the idea just popped into my head, this tweet. Thought it would be funny. Got a lot of faves from my private audience. I said, you can either, quote, pee out your butt or, quote, piss out your ass. Your choice. This has been the Ink and Echo podcast, everybody. Thank you so much.
Hear what I say. Fuck shit is finished today. I skipped the line. Hear what I say. No, wait, did I? Hear what I say. We are the business today.
Fuck shit is finished today. RT and J. We the new PB and J. We dropped a classic today. We did a tablet of acid today. The joints with emotions and ashes away. Skirt. We dash away.
We dash away.
Donna and Dixon, the pistol is blasting away.
Blasting away.
Doctors of death.
Curing our patients of breath.
We
are
a
the pain you can trust.
Cloud to turn this whole town into dust. I am the baby hush. I'm the living swipe right on the mic. I'm a slut. I do not. I'll spill a pound of my kids on your couch. Hey, speaking of my tweet,
Go ahead.
No, one of my
you jumped ahead to verse 2. Go ahead.
Well, whatever. I think my favorite lyric from that whole album is when Killer Mike says, it's a different song. He says, I tell her, holy fuck, Jesus Christ, give me a fucking break. She said, don't curse your mama, god damn it, and threw a dinner plate.
Yes, so good. And his delivery is so funny.
Holy fuck, Jesus Christ. Don't curse your mama, god damn it.
Yeah.
All right, good stinger.
Mike at the jelly gon' snitch.
I'll rent the room with the Ritz. I'll sip a fifth of the whisk. I'll smoke a dub in the tub. Then I will split both my wrists.
Boom.